Hey, you're tuned to the Pennsylvania Rock Show featuring the best unsigned rock and metal that Pennsylvania has to offer right here on PARockShow.com, MegaRockRadio.net, 107.1 FM St. Louis, Missouri, AltRockRadio.ca in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, RoodarooRadio.com on the beaches of San Diego, California, and across the pond in the United Kingdom in Birmingham, we have xrpradio.co.uk. And then right here in the thriving metropolis of Leechburg, Pennsylvania, buildthescene.com. My name is Bill. This is episode number 569. And with me on the episode is Travis from Endbringer. What's up, Travis?
Not much, man. How's it going, Bill?
Not too bad. I'm panicking a little. There's 12 minutes left in the third period of Game 5. It's 2-1 Pittsburgh.
they better hang tough on this one. I need a win. We need another win for sure.
So I'm going to start off. I told you I'm going to have some questions that are normal and then some that are a little off the wall, but are really getting the same normal answers, sort of, maybe. But with a band name like Endbringer, I have a feeling this first question is not really going to I think it might be a moot point. But if there was an apocalyptic event that wipes out most of the humans on Earth and one Endbringer song survives and its job is to help repopulate the Earth, which song would that be?
The one that's available everywhere, or the one that hasn't come out yet?
That's up to you.
Because currently, my favorite one that's available out there is definitely Judgment by far. Just for no other reason other than that was all five of us. That was a collective effort by all five of us.
Oh, it's 2-2, Travis.
What was that?
It's 2-2.
Man, in a way, I'm glad I'm not watching it because I'll get too amped up.
I might have to. I can't turn it off, but I really should.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, I had to shut it off upstairs so that way, I needed to go where there's no TV when we do this. But yeah, back to the question at hand, and the one that hasn't been released yet, and I don't even know if it's going to be ready for the album when it drops, is called One Bad Day. I think that might be a start off for a second record, actually, is where we're at. It's been played live once, but, still ironing out bugs, but so far that's my favorite because it's a collective of everything we do. Like I said, the reason Judgment's my favorite is because it was all five of us putting our 2 cents in and building something really cool. And this one is not only a collective effort of that, but it's a collective effort of what I feel like everything Endbringer does.
Cool. All right, so I see that the band is a combination of a handful of other bands, members from other bands, a conglomeration, if you will. How did you guys get together?
Well, almost every one of those bands were already... Well, not almost, all of them. We were all like kind of sitting idle, and I had played in a band with Brad called Death Rattle, and he played drums in that band for like a cup of coffee just for a minute. And me, him, and Ed have jammed throughout the years here and there, but it never led to anything. And then he got a hold of me one day and said he was jamming with Dave, and it's like, why don't you come down? We're gonna need a singer, so you might as well come down and try it out. Worst comes to worst is it doesn't work out, and we hang out for the day. I was like, all right, let's take a trip down there, and then it ended up working out great. And then Kevin kind of came afterwards. Like we had a dude that was jamming with us who, I don't know, that just wasn't his style. Like it just wasn't his speed. Like he said when he left, really good dude. He's from the band Easy Tiger. They're an outstanding band. But he's like, this just isn't my place. I feel like an outsider when I'm jamming with you guys. So then, the bass player search started. Kevin answered, and this is what we ended up with. That's kind of how it all went down.
Before I forget, I do want to mention Before we came on with the interview portion, I opened the show with a brand new track from the Borstal Boys, and follow that up with the track from Chrystyna Marie. Those tracks are Walking Away is the new Borstal Boys song, and it features Loch Ness. Oh, I can't remember the rest of his name. It is like a swinging rock song, and then all of a sudden there is hip hop going on. It's really cool. And then I followed that up, I mentioned, with Chrystyna Marie, and that song is called I Want That Boom Boom, which is the answer to her question when I asked what song would she provide to help repopulate the earth.
I've never heard it, but you know what? I agree with her. I think that's perfect.
So let's see here. What do I have? Oh, what is something that fans of Endbringer would be surprised to learn about you guys?
About us. That sometimes we listen to Paul Abdul at practice on record. And it only happened once, to be fair, but Dave has this ridiculous record collection, and one day he somehow stumbled across a Paul Abdul 12-inch. So yeah, that would probably be pretty surprising to anybody that's heard anything we've done.
Did you listen to the whole thing or just a song or two?
I'd say it was a good bit of it, but keep in mind we were chatting amongst ourselves while it was playing. But yeah, it was. I'd say it was almost the whole Paul Abdul record.
So the thing that pops into my head when you mentioned Paula Abdul was she had it's Opposites Attract, and the video is a cartoon cat dancing with her.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's what pops into my head.
I'm pretty sure that was on there. I think it was like a greatest hits collection. So yeah, I'm almost positive that was on there.
All right, here we go. We're gonna go Dee Snider on you for a moment.
Well, all right.
If we were to play an Endbringer song backwards, what do you think we would hear?
Oh, I don't know, man. Probably a list of 14 different kinds of beers. If I had to suggest, it would be, because it's never the same thing. Like at practice, it's never the same kinds of beers. It shows it's never. So like if I had to suggest, I'd say that's what it is. It'd just be like this list of, I don't know, all kinds of different, mostly American beers, but sometimes Kevin drinks some pretty outlandish heavy stouts, so it could be a little bit of anything.
So it's going to be like the list of the beers that have been tried.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably the ingredients too, so that way you make sure you know what you're drinking. You don't want to be getting something that has something you don't like in it.
If you got a headlining slot for an international tour, which bands from the area surrounding Clearfield would you take with you on tour?
Ooh, just around Clearfield?
Just bands you've played with.
Well, the one band, they're a Brockway-based band, and we played with them a few times. The San Francisco Sex Toys. They're like they kind of have that rockabilly Michael Graves era Misfits vibe. Real nice dudes. Very cool to hang out with. We definitely have them go with us because that's probably the band we've played the most. And then I'm going to get greedy, and I'm going to say my friends from Buffalo. This one's just personally for me. Dog Day Sunrise, just because those guys, I've known them guys for years. They've been nothing but good to me, and they're an outstanding band.
Where'd you say they were from?
They're from Bradford. They're a little north of Clearfield, but yeah.
Who's in that band?
Anthony Manning plays lead guitar. Matt Zurich plays rhythm and sings. Bill is the guitar or the bass player. Yeah, guitar player. And Joey plays drums. Yeah, they're a 4-piece, but they've been around the way, and they've been around forever. Like those dudes, just from hanging out with those guys, like you learn how to behave with an audience, and to treat people around you and how not to treat people around you. And like those guys, I got a leg up in the business end of the music just from palling around with those guys, because they definitely have all their stuff together, and for as much as they've done in their music career, they're cool to absolutely everybody, and they literally like have the helping hand out for any bands younger than them, and definitely set an example for me. Like when I work with a band, like I don't want to ever act like I'm something above anybody else, like, because we're all just trying to do the same thing, honestly.
And you said they were called Dog Day Sunrise, right?
Yep.
All right, so back in the day, let me see if I can find it. There was a band that I saw play called Dog Day Sunrise, but I thought they were from Olean, New York.
Same area. Like if you throw a rock from Bradford, it lands in Olean.
Well, let's see if these tracks sound familiar then. If I can find them. They're there. They're going to be older if I still have them. Mushroom Clouds, Wrench, Chronic Dissolution Syndrome.
Oh, yeah. Those are my dudes right there. Yeah. Yeah,
nice.
That's them guys. Wrench is a deep cut, though. That's hard to find these days.
And Knuckle Fixate. I used to play that song a lot on this show.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites, and whenever I bring it up to Matt, he's like, I was young. Dude, that's a good song.
I saw them play at a place called Islin. It's Islin Community Park now. It was called Islin Ballfield then. Are you familiar with that?
John Lane owns that now, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
From the Hellfire Club. I saw them play at what's it called? Heroes now. It's the bar that Steve from After the Fall owns.
Yep.
I saw them play a while back, and I was like, wow, like they were solid. I got to see a ton of good local bands there that night though too, because that was my first exposure to seeing Negan, and those guys are great. So it's definitely getting to see a lot of bands like that. Before I became, a dad and I ended up having to split my time up. That's just what I did, And then on weekends when my kids aren't here, I'm going out and trying to find a show. And this last year, with everything being shut down, was almost murder for me. Like I gotta go see other bands. It's just a necessity.
April 29th. That was the last live show I went to. Before that, it was February of 2020.
Oof. I don't know how you made it, man.
Every week I talk to bands.
Well, paint me jealous,
I saw Skell.
Oh, another band that had a huge impact on me, dude. Like, I wouldn't be playing in bands now if it were not for Mike Pallone, Mike Eckes, Keith, and back in the day, it was Bones out front.
Yep.
I always told Bones, like, because those guys got to see one of my previous bands that I was fronting, and they were like, wow, dude, don't even pat me on the back, because everything I know I stole from you and Phil Anselmo. Like that stage banner that Bones used to pull off back in the day was like, and that's no joke. Those guys are the reason that I'm playing in a band right now. Because
what was the band you were in back then?
Back then, not the one that I was fronting, but when I first started playing in bars, was just because Mike Pallone said, if you play, why aren't you playing? And I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm good enough to be in a band. And he's like, you ain't gonna figure out till you get out there and do it. So me and a bunch of my friends decided we were gonna start a band. We called ourselves Beaver Squeezer.
Okay.
But yeah, I played rhythm guitar in that band for a little while, and then we ended up losing a drummer and couldn't find one. And we auditioned a guy, and he was the only guy we could find, and he was always late to practice, or he just wouldn't show up. And then he said one day when I was just pissing around on his drum kit, like, well, he can hold a beat. What do you need me for? Like, yeah, really, I'm here every week anyway. I might as well just do it. So then that turned into, and then also watching Skell is another, like, those dudes are so good to everybody around them. You never hear them saying a bad thing about anybody. And
I agree. I designed their website. So.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I haven't been on their website in forever, but when it was the Shangri-La 27 design, I was like, wow, that's somebody put some time into that. So good job on that one, dude.
Did I do it at that point? Yeah, I did do it at that point. Doesn't look
Yeah.
like that right now though. It's different.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. It's been a while. It's been a while since I talked to them guys too. You know, like I said, you still might cross paths with somebody here or there. You know, I don't get down that way all that often unless we're doing something down there, or you know, you take a trip and then you're like, well, hey, I'm here. I might as well go catch a show somewhere, and you know,
the other two bands that played that night were Winter's Descent and Instakill.
I've heard of Winter's Descent, but I don't know a lot about them.
They are fronted by Jerry Mulligan. He and his wife own Twist of Fate Productions.
Oh no, I've definitely heard of that. I've heard of them. Yeah.
And then Instakill is fairly new. They started to form right around the time the pandemic started. I have heard some demo tracks that they're getting ready to work with. I don't know if I was supposed to tell anybody that, but I did.
Oh
no. So are you from this area, or you just came down here for this?
Well, I'm originally from around St. Mary's in a town of about 40 houses called Burndale. That's where I live at. And so every band I've ever played in has been a St. Mary's area band. We're talking like 2.5 hours north of Pittsburgh. And Clearfield is a half hour away from me. So, you know, every time we have a rehearsal or anything we do in that area, like, you know, I'm usually hauling. And, you know, being with a good group of guys kind of doesn't make that half-hour drive seem so bad when, you know, especially after a day of putting together a song and you get to hear the finished product. And then, you know, so far for us, like we started at the beginning of the pandemic, like when we were finally officially 5 dudes getting ready to make music, the pandemic hit, and it was like, oh well, that's that. And then we kept kind of working online and had ideas roughed out, so when restrictions started getting lifted, we already had like we were already in go mode, like, all right, let's hit this running. And then the way the songs were received by people that have heard them, even like friends that I've had in the industry that have gotten a sneak peek of them beforehand, like they're like, wow, dude, like we've heard almost everything that you've done, and this tops all of it. So like that half-hour drive ain't nothing when it all comes down to all of this. You know what I mean? So that and some of the t-shirt designs look really cool.
We're going to talk about that later.
Oh, all right.
So now let's get back off of the tangent for a minute. I asked you about a headlining tour. While you're on that headlining tour, and you're moving from city to city, what's that soundtrack going to be? What are you going to listen to in between cities?
Oh man, I'm so eclectic with my music tastes. Like I think sometimes I might get annoying to some of the other guys because like 1 minute I'll like our guitar player Brad did all the recording, for example, and he's like, man, your timing on that track was really solid. And I'm like, well, I learned everything about timing from Ice Cube. And he's just like, for real? And then we left right from his place where we were recording at. He got in my car so I could give him a ride to practice. And I had NWA and the CD player. And he's like, oh, you were serious. But there'd definitely be some of that in there. I've really been digging on that new Sepultura, that Quadra. That, I mean, no disrespect to Max, because that stuff is great, but this Quadra album is awesome. And I don't know if you're familiar with the band from North Carolina called War, WOR. Oh, dude, look them up. I definitely have their record on. They've been around for a little while, and man, they're good. They're real good. Hopefully, somebody that I might get the opportunity to work with. Probably maybe a little Dreadnecks from the Olean area in there. And, well, let's see what else I'd have to have on there. Oh, that that Project Regeneration from Static X was pretty good. I don't know if you've gotten a chunk of that, but I don't know if it's because I went into it with such low expectations, but man, the outcome of that was it brought me back to when I was a kid and first bought Wisconsin Death Trip. Like it gave me that same feeling, and maybe I was just waiting on that, but that we'd have to throw some Static X in there. Maybe we can make a greatest hits like a mixtape. But
a mixtape.
and
my son who's sitting over there has no idea what that means.
I think even if I would have said like a burned CD, it probably would have threw a curveball for some people. I forget how old I am, and before we get too carried away, there has to be some Pantera on there. Even if it's just a few songs, there just has to be some Pantera on there. Oh, and I've been digging on the new Ventana. They just released their new record, Nature of Betrayal, and I highly recommend that to anybody who's watching this. Or they do a really killer cover of "Nobody Home" by Pink Floyd at the end. Makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. But I already liked them guys beforehand, and then just that new record is the best stuff they've done so far.
I'm going to throw this up here real quick. Chris Thunderwolf Dotson says hello.
Hey, how's it going, man?
He runs a instrument refinishing company called Wolf's Customs. He sponsors the Build a Scene radio station. Oh man, I had them over here. My wife must have moved them. I have some pics that he hollow flashed for me, which is one of the things they do. It's a reflective finish, and it almost looks like a rainbow when the light's hitting it. It's really cool.
Nice.
And then his wife, Raven, does custom paint jobs on instruments too. But everyone who's listening should go check out wolfscustoms.online to find out more information about that. Okay, so let's talk about your track, Judgment. And since you showed a little bit of age, I'm gonna tell you that I'm giving you your VH1 or MTV moment, and you get to do a Storytellers.
Storytellers. Well, Judgment. I actually had these lyrics. Well, a version of these lyrics penned down beforehand, and then while those guys were ironing out the riff and the whole arrangement of the song, that's the nice thing about working with all these guys is nobody gets too afraid to say something when it comes to the song, because everybody just wants it to be its best. You don't want to overdo it, but you don't want to not go down every avenue and miss something. So whenever them guys are jamming on something and I'm throwing my 2 cents in, I just kind of wait and get like a little bit of a feeling before I pen any lyrics down. And I was like, man, I feel like I got something written down for this. And like I said, I wrote this not long before I was in the band, but a little bit. And it's basically like, you never know what someone's going through in their day-to-day life. So with everything with this cancel culture, or people being able to jump on somebody on the internet, like everybody's so quick to judge. Everybody's so quick to throw everybody else under the bus. And like the chorus is like, my dirty laundry might all be out there, but don't worry, you just keep yours safe inside, because no, you don't want anybody judging you, but you can be quick to run into judgment. And at the time I wrote the lyrics for this, like I was going through a little bit of a period of like self-discovery. I was really evaluating myself. Like, what could you do to be a little bit better person? Well, you've been known to do this. Like a lot of the stuff on the upcoming record that I've penned lyrically has all been me reevaluating myself and how I could be less of a, more of a better person. Like it's every day, just do something a little bit better to wave at somebody, hold a door for somebody, like anything that I could do to maybe take some of that weight off. And that's kind of a lot where this Judgment song comes from. That's why it's Judgment with a question mark at the end of it, because it's like, who's anybody to judge anybody else? We're all human beings. We all make mistakes, and to have a mistake that you've made hang over your head for the rest of your life, and believe me, being from a small town, that happens so hard. Like,
because everybody knows everybody.
yeah, absolutely. So that's basically where the heart of that song comes from. Is like that's also the importance behind the tagline. The victim's been chosen. Like, and I was kind of glad that Dave brought the suggestion. Why don't we call the record "The Victim's Been Chosen"? Because that line in Judgment. I was like, you know what? Yeah, that suits the theme that I have in my mind that I wrote lyrically. Like only myself being the victim. Like, I'm the victim of myself. Like, it's not easy to sit there and pick yourself apart, and no one wants to admit that they suck ever. But when you do, you kind of open up new doors, and you kind of makes your day a little bit brighter, because that's stuff that that you can fix personally, and to help other people out outside of this. And we're advocates for the Hope for the Day Foundation, which is all about mental health. So that ties right into this. I was glad that Dave brought them on board with us, because it's all about dropping the stigma on people having mental health problems, because the world is sometimes not an awesome place. It can downright suck, and it can kick the crap out of you. But to get rid of that stigma and to go get the help that you need, that's a big part of what this record lyrically, for me, what I penned down, is all about. Is, I guess, to sum up all that rambling in one sentence, kind of exercising the demons.
So First Angel Media, which you probably have heard of.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm the vice president there. And I never tell people that. I always forget when I'm like, hey, I'm Bill from Build the Scene from Pennsylvania Rock Show from 3 Questions in a Song. It never clicks, but I'm the vice president. Anyway, we have a thing over there called Saved by the Scene that you might want to look into. They do periodically. They bring musicians on and talk about mental health and how the scene has helped them.
Oh, absolutely, dude. If there's anything that I can do in regards to that, I'll look into it, and feel free to hit me up on that anytime. I'll definitely make arrangements to be a part of something like that. It's something that's real important to me, because I've seen a lot of the downside of it. I served in the military for a few years, so, and I've had some friends go down some tough paths, and had friends of friends go down some tough paths, and even dudes that aren't in the military, it's just friends from around town. It's everybody acts like it's so easy living a day to day, and sometimes it's not. And if we don't help each other out, who's going to help anybody out then? Like,
right. Hey, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a moment. We're going to listen to Judgment by Endbringer. We're going to follow it up with Human Delusion and their track Depravity. I messed that up. Depravity. How do you say that?
Depravity.
Depravity? Yeah.
Now I'm doing it.
Yeah. DEPRAVITY. You figure it out. And we'll be right back. For those of you that are tuned in live, you're not going to get to hear the music. So we'll be coming right back in as if we listen to it here momentarily, because Facebook will mute the video, and we don't want them to do that. It should also be noted that I have about 10 more minutes of wiggle room, so we got to move a little quicker on the answers.
Oh, sorry,
no,
Bill.
That's okay. And it went to overtime, so we really need to move a little quicker.
They're killing me. Jari's been letting some easy ones go by. I hate to be because I can barely ice skate, so I hate to be a dude that's gonna step on him like that. But man, we're in the playoffs, dude.
All right, so I have like 9 questions, but I'm gonna watch the time, so
all right,
I'll
dude.
drop some or
I'll try to keep my rambling to a minimum. I know I have a habit of doing that. That's why I can't believe Dave was like, well, why don't you do that interview?
No, you're giving great answers.
That's why I'm a singer, man. That's how that whole thing started. When I was in the band Death Rattle, it was just natural. They were like, he won't shut up, so just put a microphone in his face.
All right, you ready to come back in?
Let's roll, dude.
All right. So you just heard Human Delusion and Depravity. I'm sure I said it wrong again. And right before that, Endbringer, Judgment. with me right now is Travis, who sings on Judgment. I'm going to move things along. This is like the official Pennsylvania Rock Show question. I've been asking it for a long time. I've been trying to get Dave Grohl to recognize that I'm doing this and come on the show.
I think if he gets wind of it, he will, because he's a pretty chill dude from what I've seen.
I know. I emailed his management and they didn't even respond to me.
That's tough.
But the question is, who's your Dave Grohl? And what I mean by that is, who would you want to go up on stage with and perform one of their songs?
Past or present? Like
Any.
alive or dead?
Any.
Alive, I would want to do. Oh man, it'd have to be. It'd have to be with Parkway Drive, man. That Winston dude is lights out, and I might have to go with Crushed on that one, just because that dude like spits razor blades on that song like that, and past.
Wait, don't answer that. Wait, don't answer that one. I'm going to ask the next question because all right. It's if you could chat with any musician in history, but only ask them one question: who, what, and why?
Oh, well, we're definitely going to go with Dimebag Darrell, because that, like I said, Pantera was such a huge, and I might even catch, hell over that, because they're seen as like the hillbilly metal band, but like those dudes literally put me on the, like, between them and Sabbath, put me on the path to metal, and I would ask him why they went with the more aggressive sound, because that's what caught my ear. Like, I didn't catch them dudes till well after Cowboys.
Me too. And the reason I did was because I saw Skell do Respect. And I was like, what was that?
That is the whole reason Keith from Skell ever talked to me. I was wearing a Pantera shirt, and they had like a 3-song medley that they did for a little while.
Yep.
And when they were on a beer break, he's like, "Hey, you in a Pantera shirt? I got something for you next set." Something for me? But back to the question at hand, I'd want to know why, just because just that opportunity to pick that dude's brain, like, he didn't think like any other musician or any other guitar player, and that's why guys like him and Eddie Van Halen are head and shoulders, because they didn't look at the instrument as just like, you play it this way and you do it this way. They kind of put their own little spin and their own little twist, and really explored what you could do with music. Not just stay in the same alleyway, or this is how heavy music is supposed to sound. So that would definitely be why I'd ask him that, because I want to know what made you roll down there.
Okay. Now we're just shotgunning in the mat you now. Hey, so you have an unlimited amount of money to work with, and you're throwing a barbecue at your house. What band is playing your backyard?
What band is Ventana? Just because my buddy Tom plays guitar for him, so I'd hang out with him too while they were playing.
You, much like the bluesman Robert Johnson, are standing at a crossroads waiting for the devil to show up. What are you going to try and trade your soul for? Oof. And I kind of will let you out of that a little bit and just say, what's your biggest musical dream, just in case that selling your soul thing kind of trips you up.
All right, it's just got to be a music thing.
Yep.
Just to be able to cut a living at it, man. Like, it is the best job in the world, and you can't tell. You'll never convince me otherwise. Like, I take days vacation from my regular job. I travel, money out of pocket just to do this, just because it's just something that I love doing. So if I could cut a living out of it and keep all my bills paid, I don't need to aim any higher than that. Whatever comes after that is just gravy, but that is the dream,
Hey, what song that you didn't write do you wish you had written?
Black Number One by Typo Negative, because that's known genre wide, and it just shows you like the depth that baritone that Pete Steele has, and his ability to make something so dark sound so pretty. Man, like, and like I said, there isn't anybody in any genre that doesn't play music that hasn't at least heard that song at least once. I've heard that song played in strip clubs. How's a dancing girl supposed to dance to that? But they do it.
All right, so a band from this area, which you're clearly familiar with, decides they're going to come up to the Clearfield area and play a show. What venues and what bands should they check out before they head up there?
Before they come up, well, definitely they. If some of them don't know it, they should definitely check out Negan. They should check out Endbringer, of course. And man, there used to be this place called the After Dark right on top of the hill. It had this huge stage, in-house PA, big bar. I don't even know if it's open anymore, but like that would definitely be a cool place to have a big show. Or the Clearfield Fairgrounds, because I've seen Alice Cooper there. I got to see Joan Jett there. You know, like they drag in some pretty big name, but a lot of it's just the classic rock stuff. But at least it's cool classic rock. Like Alice and Joan Jett are cool.
So it's kind of like Jurgles here.
Absolutely. Which
Yeah.
I've played Jurgles a few times. That place is the best pizza I've ever had in a bar, hands down. Their pizza's lights out.
That sounds like a glowing recommendation.
Oh, absolutely. I got to play with Sponge a couple of times there, and those dudes, even the second time they come back, we ordered up a bunch of pizza.
So do you want to take a moment and mention the companies that endorse your band?
Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, I got my Burning Stone apparel T-shirt on. I was able to finally get rid of some 10-year-old concert tees because the dude from Burning Stone hooked us up. So I'm pretty excited about that. They definitely take care of us, and they got some really cool designs. And that dude's always putting new artwork up, so he's awesome. Action Graphics does all our posters, and they cut us a pretty sweet deal. And Sticker Mule does all of our stickers, which is great. They've like actually between Action Graphics and Sticker Mule, they always exceed expectations whenever we need stickers or any promo material. I believe that's who's currently working on the artwork for the album, which we're hoping to have out in July. Soul Tone Symbols, they take care of Dave. They're literally, they were just like, yeah, we got you, dude. Here's a whole bunch of brand new symbols. So we got to definitely give props to them, and they're great, good, solid symbols too. And last but definitely not least, Patty Mack and the dudes at Brutal Business. Like, I've never been a part of such a tight-knit community of people from every corner of whatever music you've never heard of, and like it doesn't matter if they're a hip-hop artist on there or if they're a model, or like as soon as you're one of the bands with them, you share something, it's all over the internet. Like they and Patrick McElravy works so hard for us, you know, like constantly sending our demos out places. And but we beat him to the Lily Six thing. That's how I ended up here. So, but outside of that, like, dude is a worker. Like, that's why I'm glad to be a part of that group, because like they're at the ends of the earth that Patrick will go to get some stuff done. Is there isn't a limit. So I believe that's everybody. I hope I didn't forget anybody. And definitely check out the Hope for a Day Foundation. Like that's a big part of why I do music. It's cathartic. So
I've had Patrick on the show a lot. Clearly does see the 9-stitch method and does stuff with Demo Demon. You know, he's all over the place. But the first time that I ever met him in person was at Kennywood. I was walking past Noah's Ark. I'm like, I think I know him.
he's such a nice guy too. Such a down to earth dude. Like back in the day when I was in the band Death Rattle, our paths crossed at a couple of music festivals, and like he's one of those guys that'll sit on the side of the stage, and as long as he's there, he'll watch every band, he'll shake every hand. Like just a really cool, down to earth guy. Just like I've been fortunate enough on my adventure through this whole music thing, is like damn near everybody in every band that I've worked with. You know, you still run into a few here or there, but for the most part, man, just really good people that I've been fortunate enough to work with. And Patrick's one of the ones that's up towards the top of that list.
So I have been looking for a reason to play Dog Day Sunrise for a while.
Now you got it.
I am going to play Wrench at the end of the episode.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to fit it in there.
They got a record after Seasons of Suffer called When the Sky Comes Down, and definitely if you get it, look that up. I think if you like Wrench, you'll love When the Sky Comes Down.
Give me 1 second here. I'm deleting a different song. I didn't mention who it was yet, so nobody knows who got eliminated. I'll play him next week. All right, so last question. 2 questions, but they're quick ones.
All right.
Where can we get Endbringer music and merchandise? I told you we'd mention that later.
Definitely on our Bandcamp. I believe it is Endbringer 1. If you search Bandcamp, it's Endbringer 1. Or even if that, just message us on Facebook and we'll figure out a way to get it to you. We're in the process of building an online store, but trying to find the right one is where we're at right now and getting everything ready for it. It's definitely under construction and it's in the works. And honestly, my favorite place to sell you merch would be come see a show. That would be the best way to get it. But there's definitely other avenues, like I said, on our Bandcamp, or hit us up online and we'll figure out a way to get it to you.
Hey, last question. What's next?
Oh, well, like I said, we got a couple shows coming up. We got one in Clearfield where Offensive's currently doing a tour on their new record, and we're going to be doing a gig with them the 12th, I believe. And you'll definitely check the website, double check all this stuff, because I'm usually not 100% accurate on this. July 3rd, I believe, is when we're hoping to have the record. Early July is when we're hoping to have the record out. And there's a big festival in Clearfield that Dave, our drummer, is putting together in August. There's a lot. See, he won't tell me nothing because then I'll come on here and blab it. And he likes to make big announcements and stuff like that. So I did hear there's some pretty big name bands coming through. It's at the fairgrounds, and I'm glad to be a part of that. We're going to be doing that. And right now, even though the first record hasn't dropped, like I said, I'm pretty sure we're already starting the writing process for the second record. So, yeah, just staying busy, playing as much as possible. As much as our schedules will allow us to, we'll get out there.
Hey, Travis, last thing I need you to do, I need you to point down. There you go. Facebook.com Endbringer Official is where you will find is where you will find Endbringer. You will find this episode, if you're tuned in live right now, by going to buildascene.com. It'll appear at 6 a.m. on Friday, right on the front page. It will air on all those streaming stations and the FM station that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. I'm not going to rattle those off again. You can find them by going to buildascene.com, clicking on podcast, clicking on Pennsylvania Rock Show. It's listed there with all the times that they air. I want to thank you for hanging out with me on episode 569.
Oh, thank you for having me, Bill. This is, like I said, this is the first time I've ever done a face-to-face interview where people can actually see me. So this has been not only exciting, but at least it was somebody who was really cool to work with. So I appreciate that, Bill. And
thank you.
You definitely made me want to check out the show. You know, I hate to admit that I didn't know about the show until you contacted us, but you've made me a believer, my friend.
2004 was the first episode.
Man, I always come across stuff way past its debut. So don't feel bad. I did the same thing with Machine Head and Pantera and just about Parkway Drive, just about every band I've listened to. But it's just as exciting to backtrack and find that other stuff too as it was discovering it. So, all
right. So here's what we're gonna do. You're about to hear from Mr. John, the American Hilljack Lane, after we play. After we play a couple tracks, you will hear him. When you hear him, that means that this episode is ended. That does not mean change the station that you're listening to. Most of the stations that we're on play unsigned 24/7. And then you have the 107.1 FM and Mega Rock, which are really the same station. They play a mix of major bands and unsigned bands. So there's no reason to leave those stations once the show is ended. Make sure you come back each and every Friday. For the new episodes of the Pennsylvania Rock Show. And our other podcast / radio show is 3 Questions and a Song. It is released on the 1st and 15th of each month. That one is any genre, any location, whereas this one is Pennsylvania, links to Pennsylvania. Like if their management is from PA, they can be on here. But Pennsylvania rock and metal. My name is Bill. This has been episode 569. We'll catch you next time.